Mercedes' two podium finishes in Spain have its supporters very ecstatic, and for good cause. For the first time this season, they genuinely appeared capable of placing third and second based only on merit. Toto Wolff, the boss of Mercedes, thinks it's crucial for his team to realize why their new Formula One improvement works so effectively, but recognizing that the rush to enhance the performance quickly aroused concerns. And if Mercedes wants to keep becoming better, it must avoid these concerns. First of all, they had no idea why they were so sluggish before and were unclear of what made them speedy now. The team recognized this following the outstanding performance in Barcelona and has made plans for a prospective new upgrade package. However, these plans will face some challenges because their competitors also want to show that the Barcelona performance from the W14 was an exception. Wolff, though, thinks that before making any more changes, Mercedes' designers must evaluate the current package and fully comprehend it. Wolff said when questioned about the plans to boost the car's performance that there were certain issues that needed to be resolved due to the quick speed of the upgrades. He has said that because Mercedes committed to implementing the changes quickly, the team was unable to thoroughly research the changes as it may have done with more regular updates. "We just need to continue to grind away because it's not so much about how quick it is, it's about how good our understanding is," he said. "We've been rushing things over the last 2 months, and that worried us because it was a little bit circumventing the process. But so far it has paid off." Wolff also believes that Mercedes should not become comfortable, and believe that the Spanish GP potential is confirmation that it is now on track to defeat Red Bull. As Red Bull still seem to have a big gap to the rest, and they will too, keep updating the car for the time being. While he is certain that the scenario is different from a year ago, when a move forward in pace at the Spanish GP did not translate to following races, he does not want to get too excited just yet. "We need to manage our own expectations," he said. "We were really upset in Spanish GP qualifying because we believed P2/P3 was in, and it wasn't. So I don't want to go to Canada and say that's another second and third there because it could as easily be a fifth and sixth. There is more to understand." The team's trackside engineering director, Andrew Shovlin, though, predicts that the Silver Arrows will have a more challenging weekend at the Canadian Grand Prix. Due to Montreal's Gilles Villeneuve circuit's low downforce characteristics, the complete opposite of Barcelona's. Shovlin stated in the Mercedes post-race debrief on Wednesday that the modification really performs quite well on circuits with a lot of high-speed performance, like Barcelona. "The fact is that the update kit works very well around circuits like Barcelona with a lot of high-speed performance," Shovlin said in Mercedes' post-race debrief. "We've been better at the fast circuits and the front-limited tracks. We ended up with a really good balance and really good race pace. Now, where we are going to go next week, Montreal, it's a very different circuit. There are more low-speed corners, quite a lot of straight-line full throttle, and we would expect more of a challenge there. We are not thinking that we are going in nipping at the heels of Red Bull. We are aware that Canada is likely to be a bigger challenge than the Sunday we just had in Barcelona." Shovlin predicts that Mercedes will relapse into the grasp of the pursuing pack, which includes Aston Martin and Ferrari, and is trailing Red Bull. He believes that Alpine will also join the group in light of Esteban Ocon's recent victory in Monaco. "We are thinking it will be more along the lines of some of the earlier races where we were definitely in the bunch with Ferrari, with Aston, and now Alpine look to have joined that group," he explained. "But it's great racing there. It will be good fun, and we are certainly going to be fighting to find every little bit of performance we can. The way the grid stacks up now, you can be P2 or you can be P10, and there are only a few tenths in it." Even though Mercedes' ascension into second position in the Constructors' Championship should be viewed as a victory for the team, there are drawbacks to their accomplishments because of a package of regulatory amendments that includes. Teams were able to gain important tenths of seconds thanks to such type of improvement, but it was extremely costly. The size of the Mercedes development project grew to the point that the team's operating costs reached $500 million annually. A sliding scale of aero testing is now in use. Your testing capacity is determined by a baseline. The standard is 2,000 CFD items and 320 wind tunnel runs per 8 weeks. Mercedes only received 80% of that due to their third-place result in the Constructors' Championship previous year. Thus, 1,600 CFD items and 256 wind tunnel runs by the end of June, when the aero testing limitations are updated. Mercedes, who have fully rebuilt their vehicles, will only receive 75% of that baseline if they are still in second place in the constructor standings. Toto Wolff, the head of Mercedes, believes that his team's massive step forward in the Spanish Grand Prix feels different from the false dawn experienced at the Barcelona race last year. After months of struggling with its zero-pod concept, the outcome in Spain and the W14's strong performance during the race imply that Mercedes' vehicle redesign has accomplished a huge leap forward in performance. But the team has learned not to get ahead of itself just yet, after recalling the events of 2022, when it thought its strong showing at the Spanish GP would herald a return to form only to falter in the subsequent races. Wolff acknowledges that the situation does not seem to be a repeat of what happened a year ago, despite the fact that he does not take anything for granted. Wolff responded when asked if there was any conviction that Mercedes' performance in the Spanish GP represented the current state of the team. "I'm never optimistic. Only fools are optimistic. But generally I think it feels different to last year. There is still a bouncing, which is interesting to understand why that is. But we've learned so much in the last 12 months. That's why I generally have lots of reasons to be a little bit more carefully confident." While Aston Martin and Ferrari continue to present strong competition for Mercedes, Hamilton is certain that the team's performance in Spain represents where it is headed. "They normally say if you're quick in Barcelona, then the car should generally be good everywhere, and I think we will be strong in the next races," he explained. "There will be times when the Aston may be slightly ahead or the Ferrari maybe is ahead. But I think our race pace continues to be a strength of ours, as it was last year. I think this weekend particularly, we've understood the car even more. So I think we can count on that being strong moving forward. We've just got to try to lift the overall performance of the car a little bit more to try to close the gap to these guys." Mercedes is only now gathering information on their new offering, and they will definitely find many areas where they can improve. To ensure that the modifications they introduce maximize those potential development areas, they will want as much testing time as feasible. Mercedes is now 52 points ahead of Ferrari and 18 points ahead of Aston Martin in the constructors' title. Aston Martin might overtake Mercedes if they do well in Canada, giving the Silver Arrows more time to test their aerodynamics in the second part of the season. Damon Hill, a former world champion in Formula One, is planning far farther forward. For the remainder of the season, according to Hill, Mercedes should perform horribly in order to fall in the rankings and gain that crucial additional aero testing. "I think going forward, you've got the development curve and the cost cap restrictions to think about, because ironically, the better Mercedes do, the less scope they've got for the following year," he said in the latest Sky Sports podcast. "So you've got Aston Martin, who are benefiting, if you'd like, from a poor performance relatively from last year. The glass ceiling is much higher for them. And you kind of wonder whether Mercedes ought to be thinking about doing really badly between now and the end of the year. Fans of Mercedes are living exciting times. Are they at last returning? Was Spain the beginning of the Silver Arrows' significant turnaround? We'll see this in the next race in Canada. Thanks for watching our video and enjoy the racing.